Hello there. I thought I'd talk to you about embossing today. I have recently discovered that there are many a way to emboss. And just to compare a regular stamped motif to one which is embossed with black powder. You can see there's some sort of a shimmer there, shine and glow. And also the imprint sort of stands out a little bit more. And with embossing, I mean, mostly you just use a sort of a watermark stamp, and you could go for different kinds of embossing powders, either ones that are just regular plastic powders, or you could use something with a bit of glitter in it, or perhaps a funky color. And there are also distress embossing powders which have different kinds of effects. So let's get started with these three. And mostly, if you are embossing, you can actually use it as a resist technique. That is, you first do the stamping, put the powder on, and then emboss. And then, since you have a plastic surface, you could actually paint or just color the background in with distress inks, or perhaps even spray the background. So here I've done something with black. You can see the shine, it's wonderful there. And here I've done something with clear. And the paper was white from the start, so that's why it looks white. But in comparison to regular white, you can actually see the difference here, I hope. Let's see if I can put these together. Like so. Can you see the difference? I mean, the white stands out more, of course. But anyway, you can have a resist technique with these. I mentioned before that you could do a spraying background, and that is what I have done with this one. I made a sort of a template out of a punch or a die from Tim Holtz. I die cut it in plastic, which I have prepared down here, so I'll be talking about that later actually when I come to think of it. Continuing with the stamps and the powders, here I have used something that is called hologram, and you can see the wonderful sparkle there. It has some texture to it, so I wouldn't really go over with my distress inks on this. I would rather spray ink this background. The same thing goes for distress ink powders. These are somewhat different kinds of powders than the regular ones. These also give a sort of sandpapery texture to it. I have used the same color on both the white and the black there. And you can see that the orange is still visible, but it sort of looks rusty in comparison to the white background there. I also tried embossing on a stain splotchy thing here. You really have to be quick about this because this dries very quickly. But there you can see actually that I've used a clear embossing color there. And I think that most people like embossing powders since it's absolutely fantastic a result when you get it to succeed, and well, you can make a smashing invitation or perhaps a wedding card or something like that. Here I've used some kind of a gold embossing powder, and here you can see the result on either white or perhaps black background. It looks lovely, I think. And then we have white on black. And if you are looking for a white print, well, you should definitely go for an embossing powder which is white, because that really goes on top of the black one and it stays white in comparison to perhaps a white ink pad that doesn't really have the strength to stay white because the black is penetrating through it. And let's see if I could get what I want to with this. Well, I could show you this one also. I mean, there are ways to actually use different kinds of texture folders and embossing thingies to get this raised effect. And with this one I have just colored it in with some distress inks. So that's it. It doesn't dry yet, so I have to be aware. And I just started experimenting because if you are gluing, using some sort of a glue pad or perhaps a watermark pad, you need that because you want the powder to stick to the surface. And I saw a video on YouTube that told me that I actually use acrylic paint to fasten the powders and such. So with this sample here, I have used 3 different techniques. I used a stencil or novel paper, and I just used some black acrylic paint here. On the first one, I poured some glitter, some blue glitter powder, and it really stuck to it. And then I just heat set it. And then I went on with some gold embossing powder, and I did the same thing. I heat set that one as well. And then I used some distress embossing powder on the last one here. It's the orange as well. So I must say that the glittery one really tickles my fancy, because now I can actually see myself using these glitters, because now I know that they will really stick and they won't come off that easily when they are on this acrylic paint. And then I just went ahead and made 2 examples with just a stamp. I used these big foam stamps, and I had just sprayed on some acrylic paint on a piece of paper that I could actually fold it away and just throw it in a basket. That's the easiest way for me. So I just went ahead, stamped with a black acrylic paint there, didn't do anything but just heat set it. And then I went ahead, the same thing, used the black, and then I poured some pink embossing powder over. And this one is magenta, and it's from Ranger actually. It comes from Ranger, you can see that there. So you can actually cover the black ink, and I think that was pretty splendid. So it's a lovely pink color there. But let's get to the project at hand. I first off made, as I told you, a template or a mask or a stencil or a schablon in Swedish. And so I used a piece of plastic, a bit harder plastic this time. And then I went ahead and just used this one on this paper, spray, and then I used this Versamark. And I went on this plastic and I did like this, poured some powder over and did the embossing. And then I did the spraying afterwards. So this is the result. And I just can't help telling myself that it's lovely. It's wonderful, a wonderful result. And then I went ahead, trying to do the same thing, but with acrylic paint. And I did want this kind of an effect actually. So I'm going to show you how I made this. And let's see if I can make this work. So what I have done, I have prepared a piece of paper here, and the template is there, and I can see that, you can see it. So what I'm going to do now, and I did fasten it with some washi tape. I mean, this is a removable tape, really easy to work with, and you can use it several times. And what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to take a little acrylic paint and I'm going to paint all over this. A little goes a long way, but at some pieces I do want a sort of a splotchy look, because I do want to be able to heat set this and then get that wonderful structure or texture. So I'm just going to go over it like this. And especially down here, I do want it a bit thickly. And since I haven't fastened this plastic underneath, it has a tendency to let some of the paint actually go in under. And I was a little bit worried about that with the card that I showed you just recently. But when I started heat embossing it, I actually didn't mind it at all, because it gave me the chance of enhancing the branches even more. So what I'm doing now is I'm just dragging the spatula, or what you call this, the palette knife perhaps, like so. And now I need to find myself some paper to actually wipe this clean with. So this will be a bit messy here. I'm going to flip that aside. And this is just a piece of paper, magazine really, that I'm wiping this clean off with. Hopefully I remember to clean this one up later. Oopsie daisy. Perhaps the camera went down there, I thought. And for now I'm just going to take this template off, and then I'm going to go to the kitchen and rinse this. I hope I won't be making too much of a mess. You know, this is much better a result than the last time. And I need somewhere to put this for Hopefully I'll get it clean later. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to heat emboss it, and it's going to take me quite some while. But I just have to be patient. You can see what it looks like already now, so you can get some kind of an inclination of what it's going to be when it has dried up and even puffed itself up a little bit. And I just have to keep the gun here and just go over it, and soon enough I'll be seeing some sort of a swelling thing here. Let's see if I can stay in camera as well. It is, I mean, it is sort of magic, a feeling when you see that it's going to swell up. Now, you can see that. I hope you can see that. It started down there. You have to stay up here somehow. You see that starts bubbling up? Just got to turn it over. I love this. Look at that. Wonderful. Bloody hell, it's getting hot. They grow as veins. I'm going to go over a last time to see if I can make something more happen. I would like to see some more, but perhaps I can't make it happen. Well, I think that'll have to do it for now, and then I'm going to go for that paper. I should find another place for this one then. Let's put it there. Because I do need some kind of protection when I'm going to start spraying now, because that's the lazy man's method, or the lazy woman's method. I find it sort of easy, and that's what I like. So I'm going to start with some shabby shutters, and I'm thinking that's the grass bit, and I'm just going to dry it in between so the paper won't be that drenched. And then I'm going to go with some pumice down here. Pumice stone, just make a little bit down there. And I'm picking out some other paints here, or colors here as well, just for easy access really. Let's see if I can find something else. And you could just choose whatever colors you like. Recently I've started figuring out how fun it is to spray. Some pink up there in the sky. It could be worn lipstick. I don't think it's spun sugar really. I think it's worn lipstick. A bit poignant color there. And you might think, how on earth, or why on earth is she using pink? Well, let me tell you. It turns out beautifully when I mix it with some peacock feathers. I'm just going to put that one there. Continue drying it. And then I'm going to go for some rusty hinge. Just love that orange hue. Put that there. And then I'm going to go for some yellow. I think it's mustard seed really. Could be the sun, you never know. And then I'm going to put some dusty Concord up there, just to make it a little bit purple. Perhaps I ought to find myself some red also, just to make this a wonderfully warm looking background. You could of course go on with some stencils and stuff if you wanted to make a pattern. But I'm just going to keep it like this for this simple tutorial really. So let's put some red here. Lovely! So let's see now. Just going to wipe it off with my fingers to see that there isn't any kind of water there. And then I'm going to go for some shimmer paste, that I call it. This one is from Inca Gold, and it is the gold paint color. I'm just going to take a little bit on my finger, and then the magic begins, I'm telling you. I'm going to put it on top of these raised edges, or parts, the raised parts really. Just look at that. Can you see it? I almost fell on my back when I saw it, when I did the last thing. And this one has really a nice raised bit there. Really nice. So you see, there isn't a bad thing actually having too much acrylic paint if you are going to heat set it. It's just going to turn out lovely. Just rub it like that. If you want, you could take some more, rub it around the edges. I mean, this paste actually works on a bit of every kind of surface really. So let your imagination run free and go for it. I just love this. So acrylic paint, you can do more than you thought perhaps. That's a little bit about embossing, and well, let's see if I can find some more ways to use it actually. So I'm going to sign off right now. I hope you have a splendid time. Bye bye.